Calaroga Shark Media.
Man, Tom made out on this deal. Back in 1990, he purchased a lifetime companion pass with United Airlines. We're 23 million miles later now. Hi, I'm Johnny Mac with 5 good news stories. He said, what's crazy, as he points out, what are the odds that someone took a picture of my very first United flight? He is dubbed the world's most traveled air passenger. He's taken more than 12,000 flights. He's visited more than 100 counties. I hope he's in Group 1. He said, I bought the pass for business reasons because I was going back and forth to Australia, so round trip was $25,000 a person for first class, and 2 people's $50,000. So understand, I've been there to Australia 400 times, so I've gotten my money's worth. So back then, the Lifetime Companion Pass, which they no longer offer, cost him $510,000. That's in today's dollars, $1.2 million. It allows him and another person to fly first class around the world whenever he wants. He said, now listen to this. He said, I was scared to death to fly. You know, sometimes people get prepared to fly. Well, sometimes I get real prepared. I mean, I got nervous, especially when you're delayed with engine problems. That's all I need to hear. Oh, there are other perks. He avoids baggage fees and skips lines, but the best perk, he says, I can be in the air and we're delayed and I'm going to miss my flight, and I sit back and relax because when I get on the ground, they've already figured everything out. They have the boarding pass for my next flight. They literally will take me in a cart or even actually a Mercedes or Jaguar or whatever it is these days, and they'll go on the tarmac and drive me to my next plane. Nice. He's met celebrities on his flights, like members of Aerosmith and comedian Bill Murray. He somehow convinced Bill Murray to leave his brother a voicemail. When Tom got to 10 million miles, United named 2 of their planes after him. I wonder why 2 and not just 1. Will he ever stop flying? He says, not until he reaches 25 million miles. But until then, he's going to sit back and relax in seat 1B. You probably knew this, but reading is good for you. Lena Wimmer is a postdoctoral researcher at Germany's Maximilian University, and she explained that she and her colleagues did a study about fiction's effect on thinking. She tells SciPost, over the last decade, scholars from several disciplines have claimed far-reaching benefits, but also potential disadvantages of reading fiction for cognition in the real world. I wanted to get an objective, quantitative overview of the relevant empirical evidence in order to decide whether any of these assumptions is supported by empirical studies. They studied 11,000 participants and found that reading fiction had a small but statistically significant positive effects on subjects' cognition. People that read more fiction seemed to better empathize with others and understand the way they thought. So they did another study, 30,000 participants. That one found positive correlation between reading fiction and cognitive abilities, especially when it came to verbal skills, reasoning, abstract thinking, and problem solving. Wimmer threw down the gauntlet and said, people who read a lot of fiction have better cognitive skills than people who read little or no fiction. All right, good news. Kamata Ranch got a land easement. The local executive director of Land Conservancy says it's an incredible landscape filled with rolling hills, green grass, oak woodlands, and really important wildlife habitat. The land's going to remain privately owned by the family, but it will also be open to nature tours from the public. And most importantly, the land is now protected against any future development. Emily Morrison grew up on the ranch and said, it's almost like a sibling because you look after it. We're borrowing it from our grandchildren. We believe we're just a link in the chain. Co-owner Felicia says, Southern California used to look like this. There's no guarantee it'll stay like this unless we protect it. Congratulations to Puxatawney Phil and wife Phyllis. They are the proud parents of Sunny and Shadow. Sunny, a female groundhog. Shadow, a male. Puxatawney Phil, in case you haven't figured it out, a groundhog, probably the most famous groundhog from Puxatawney, Pennsylvania, where, you know, every year he does the groundhog thing. Shadows, you've seen the movie. You know how groundhogs work. I will move on. Dan McGinley, who's the vice president of the Puxatawney Groundhog Club, made it clear these are not his replacements. They're not the heir apparent. Sunny and Shadow will not be part of the ceremony. It's still Phil's job. There's still only one Puxatawney Phil. I'm not so sure about that. I believe the role of Puxatawney Phil may or may not be performed by different groundhogs over the years and decades. You know what I'm saying? McGinley read from a scroll. Today, the first family of groundhogs has grown. Puxatawney Phil and wife Phyllis have 2 kits of their own. If that comes up in trivia, apparently a kit is a young groundhog. Keep that in the back of your brain for pub trivia. The babies were discovered in March by a club member who was feeding fruit and vegetables to Phil and Phyllis, and they're like, hey, what's this? All right, I know this show is called 5 Good News Stories, but technically I think this one is bad news. Let me just tell you. A Canadian city was attempting to break the Guinness World Record for largest gathering of people dressed as dinosaurs, right? I mean, what could go wrong here? Well, the tourism organization for a town of Drumheller, Alberta, said in a Facebook post that the city's downtown attracted more than 3,000 people in dinosaur costumes, but they couldn't obtain an exact measurement of the participants. Photos and videos from the attempt suggest there may have been almost double the number of 3,000, but an accurate count couldn't be obtained because officials were unprepared for such a massive turnout. Carrie, who is the marketing manager for Travel Drumheller, says, we weren't entirely prepared for that many people to come. Guinness said there were people that they had witnessed leaving the area after it had been wristbanded, so they weren't following what the volunteers had told them by staying in the space. They had to be all together in the area for 1 solid minute. Therefore, the attempt was disqualified. They did not break the record, which is 252 people. The town is hoping to make Jurassic Jamboree an annual event, and next time they go for the record, they'll be better prepared. They say we're going to have other processes in place to really help, and we're going to prepare for at least double the number of people. And those are your 5 good news stories for today. If you would like this program commercial-free, check out in the show notes. There's a link there. It says calaroga.supportingcast.fm. What you do is you click on that. It'll open up this page, and there you sign up for $4.99 a month. You'll get this show commercial-free and a bunch of other shows on the network, including Daily Comedy News, which I host 7 days a week. You'll get that one commercial-free as well, and you can check out all the other shows. So give that a look. calaroga.supportingcast.fm. And you have an awesome day.